Good morning, all. Welcome to Coffee and Crafts. I see we've got some people already here. Justin, PSO is here. How you doing? Um, Today's one of those days where I have a very short agenda. It's kind of funny. I did this video the other day on this idea of playing differently on the shooter type, and I've always done that. And if you actually look at my website, if you go to procraps.net, by the way, that's a website, you'll get to see some fun stuff there. I've really never even shared the site with you all, but it's kind of always a work in progress. But at the good morning, Chris. At the website, you'll find my show notes on all the shows that I've done so far. The notes that I basically kind of not read from, but that I kind of went through as I made the videos. Now what I've got up there, in addition to that, I've got the whole dice control series laid out that I'm going to be doing. So you can see kind of show by show the 9 shows I'm going to do on dice control, maybe even more if it comes down to it, and the shows on the chopper that I'm going to do. They're all laid out up there. Anyway, so I've had it in my mind to do a show, or not even a show, but more of a produced video on dice control from the lens of a bettor. Like when I see somebody that can control the dice or can't control the dice, as the case usually is, how do you bet differently? So I did a short video the other day about this, and for timing purposes, we are Tuesday the 9th of September at 7:30 in the morning here. I think it's going to be kind of interesting for somebody to come here next year or the year after that's going to catch these videos and be like, what in the hell is this guy talking about yesterday, the day before? We do these live streams a couple times a week, and now we're in this weird situation where, I don't want to say it's weird. My good friend Greg at 555 Craps put out a video kind of, I don't want to say in response to, but his thoughts on the topic that I had brought up. And now today I'm going to come back and do some thoughts in response to that. It feels like we're like, Fox News and CNN or something, kind of like every day. Did you see what Don Lemon said last night? No, God, did you see what Hannity said? That's what's going on here. Greg and I love each other, right? We're good buds. So there's no like animosity. I think it's great that we can have this sort of like a live debate about this crazy topic. And the way I'm thinking about things is this feels very mental to me. And I'm going to bring a third person in, which is Ken from Ken Knows Gambling, somebody whose channel, if you're not subscribed to, you ought to. Ken and I had a really short exchange, like just 2 messages over comments last night about the subject of the John Patrick. I love John Patrick, and so does Ken, about John Patrick's way of managing money, which is, you bring, and I think a lot of you probably do this, you bring money to the table, and when you hit your loss limit, whether it's half of your money or whatever it was that you brought to the table, you walk. And I said to him, that's the one thing about John Patrick I don't agree with. And what I mean by not agreeing with, I agree with it. I think you should walk when you have hit your loss limit. The difference between Patrick and myself is I bring my loss limit to the table. So if I brought, it doesn't matter what the number is. If I brought $1,000 to the casino and I'm buying in for $1,000 to the table, I'm there to spend $1,000. Like I'm there to make that 1,000 turn into 1,200. That's my goal, my 20% goal. If I bring 200 to the table, fine, I'm there to win $40. That's how I look at this thing, right? I'm looking at when I go to the table, the way I prepare to play is I've got my money and I'm slapping it down, and that's what I brought to that table to win today, right? That's and I break it up, as you know, into units of 10. So I say I'll take 10, enough money to last 10 shooters. So if I'm bringing 200, I'm playing $20 a shooter, and I'm going to try for 10 times to get 22 inside to work, and that's how it's going to be. I have faith in my systems that I know that if I play the right way, when the good shooter comes, or if I get a series of bad shooters, in the case I'm playing a don't progression, I'm going to make that money with the money that I brought. So I give myself 10 cracks at it, and it's 10 or nothing. Like I'm going to 0 with it, because that's my loss limit is what I buy in with. I don't buy in for 200 to leave with to quit when I'm halfway through. To me, that's a mental game. And what Ken said to me back in his response back was, first thing he said was, not everybody has $1,000 bankroll. And I'm not saying I use 1,000 because the math is easy. When I say that, if I'm buying in for 300, fine. It's 10 sessions of 30 and I'm in and I'm out. When I lose it all or I don't. But to me, the mental way that I prepare to play with that level of money, whatever I brought in, I'm willing to lose it. So I play Not so much with want and abandon. I think I play with more care because I don't want to be at 0 when I'm done. So I play a little bit differently. What's in my rack is what's in my rack. Whereas some folks, and Ken had said this, he has a higher comfort level with buying in for 1,000 and walking with 800 left, which is the same thing. If I buy in for 200 and lose it all, he buys in for $1,000 and loses 2. He walks away with 8. I walk away with 0. We both walked away losing $200. It's the same dollar amount. His mind says there's a mental piece to walking to the cage and taking your $800 and coloring up or crashing out with that, versus feeling like you lost it all. And I haven't replied to him yet, but I'm replying to him now, I guess. That to me is the mental part of this game. Craps is such a and actually gambling itself is such a mental freaking game. It's crazy. But that's the thing. Think about that. What kind of, I'll ask you in the comments, what kind of player are you? Are you the, I'm using my buy-in because that's what I came here with, and that's my buy-in is my loss limit, and I adjust my buy-in amounts based on that? Or are you the person that buys in for whatever and cuts your losses and bugs out? Now, I will, as Greg does, cut my losses and bug out if the table's really going south on me. If it's completely opposite of what I want to do, or if it's so choppy that I can't catch anything, I'd run away, right? I would take what's left of that buy-in and buy in at a different table or come back in at a later point and try it again. But the money I bring to the house that day is the money I'm willing to win or lose to catch that streak. So yeah, Ken, it's a mental thing for sure. Craps is a very mental game. And getting back to the thing with what Greg and I were talking about over, now we're talking about this over videos, this ping pong thing. This topic of dice control. Now, dice control is interesting because when I first started playing craps, I've told you this before, I didn't know what it was. I saw people throwing the dice, and I had no idea what they were doing. As a rookie craps player, I think I just chalked it up to superstition. I had no idea that they were actually trying something. I thought, oh my God, just set your dice and throw them for God's sake. Like, this is driving me nuts. Then I got to realize, and again, I watched, for those of you who know about the History Channel show on the Dominator, I watched that show when it aired. Like, I'm old, right? I clearly am old. I watched that show when it aired. So I'm very familiar with dice control from that year. Like, I'm like, wow, that is really, that's what they're doing? I had no idea. Then I started looking into it and watching people do it. I never tried it, but I watched people do it, and I started, to get the one book that was out there on the subject. And I read about it, watched videos like a lot of people. And I was talking to another guy over on Greg's channel, Rob Gaynor Mason, who makes a great point. He tried it too. He bought the books, did the thing, did the work, has realized I can't do this, tapping out, going to embrace the randomness, right? And that's fine. Me, I'm the kind of person who feels like if there's a chance, I'm trying. Like, that's, I want to go down with every swing I've got. And I gave the example of golf because it's the only thing I can think of that's impossible for a mere mortal to do, right? It's the only other thing I can, unless there's another sport out there, like darts is pretty hard, but we can all play, we've all thrown a bullseye in darts. Not many of us have purposefully hit a hole-in-one in golf, right? I mean, it's hard. Golf is a hard sport, and there's a lot of variables with it. And I think the amount of variables in a golf swing are more than the variables that there are in a dice throw. There's way more things have to go perfect on a golf swing to hit a ball square with a club face than there is to throw the dice perfectly. I think that craps ups the ante on the landing and getting the dice to stop the way you want versus golf, which is, there are different grass types and different green slopes and that kind of thing. There are things that make it more difficult for you in golf, but to me, they're equivalent because they're both impossible things to do, yet we all practice and we can all get better at them. And I look at dice the way that the Dominator looks at dice. And I'll recommend you watch, he's got a lot of free videos out there, watch the free stuff, and you can hear the things that he says. And even in his books, it's a physics thing. It's not like we're not talking about Santa Claus here. This isn't like, I believe in it or not, right? This isn't a thing where it doesn't exist and you're a fool for believing it exists. But what happens in the dice control argument is that you see, and especially, God, go to Reddit sometime. I put a post in Reddit to get some information and some feedback for the big series that I'm doing on dice control. And I just said, it's literally, you can ask a question about it, and here come the trolls talking about, dice control. The only person who can control dice is Jesus Christ, and he's fake too. So that's the kind of thing that you get into with these zealots almost on the other side of the thing. I don't believe that dice control is a thing that you believe in or not. I believe it's a thing you can do or you can't, or you don't want to do and therefore don't put in the time. Totally fine, right? If you don't want to spend the 2 hours a day that it takes to get good at something, God, fine. I don't care. I mean, I tried it. Like, I did the par 3-finger grip shot. It's hard and it takes so much time and so much practice. I don't do that because I, A, couldn't, and B, it seemed like it was an effort in futility. So I've adopted a different kind of throw that I believe works for me, and we'll talk about that at the table. I see MLB is here. I actually, you know what, dude, I read your bio the other day for the first time. I don't get to every subscriber. That's cool that you played in the pros. That's awesome. My son actually was a college baseball player. He's a catcher. He caught when he was 7, as you know, and the amount of time that he put in to being a college level catcher is amazing. And hitting a baseball, what harder thing to do in the world is there than hit a 94 mile an hour slider, and followed by a changeup, followed by high and in fastball. It's so hard to hit a baseball. It's ridiculous but people do it, right? People get hole-in-ones in golf. Pros are amazing, so you can get there. I look at the dice control as a physical endeavor. There's physics to it. There's human involved. You can practice. You can do it. It's not a faith in God kind of a thing. And I think that's where I want the debate to go. The purpose of the series that I'm doing on dice control is 100% not to convince you that it's real or that you can do it or that it's completely fake and completely impossible. It's to open your eyes to, like, not the possibility is the wrong word because that sounds fanciful. It's to just frame the debate, because I'm tired of having this Santa Claus versus athlete debate. I think that's a kind of a big deal to me. So I want to frame it in that level. And let's talk about what Greg said, because this is kind of funny. When I first started practicing dice control, and I think any of you in the audience here, I can see some folks there that I recognize. Justin here. If you've tried this, give me a thumbs up in the chat or whatever, right? Tell me the truth. Did you suck at it when you started? I did. I can tell you for sure, when I first started trying to figure this out, I was throwing every other roll as a damn 7. I could not get the dice to do what they're supposed to. I couldn't get them to stick. I couldn't get them to fly right. Rotations were all jacked up. I couldn't do it. And I was throwing more 7s than ever. And my first thought was, when you go into your head and say, well, is it real or not? Can people do this or not? I would say, well, the fact that I'm effing this up so bad, like, I can't get past 2 rolls anymore. When I was just winging them, I was at least getting 6, 7, 10 sometimes. Can't do it, right? And I'm like, if I'm influencing the dice to get more 7s, then I must be able to influence the dice to get less 7s. That was my thought. If I can make it worse, I can make it better. And that's the reason why I believe dice control is possible, because I know I made it worse. And I feel like if I can make it worse, I can make it better. And that's the reason why that's how I got sucked in. Maybe that's their secret, right? That's how they suck you in. That's how I got into it, was by thinking that I could improve on something that I had totally messed up on. And Greg said this yesterday, and it cracked me up, and I actually wrote it down so I can repeat it to you, because he said I could see, you said it, Greg, you said I could use your words against you, and I will. Greg said, I quote, "I wing them down as hard as I can because I want random results." That's dice control. I mean, that's the definition of it, right? You're doing a thing to ensure or encourage a result. That is causality, to use what you word yesterday. And that's dice control. That's what that is, right? By over randomizing the dice, you're ensuring something random. I have noticed, just because my table, you can see it. It's not a huge table. It's 6 feet. It looks like really small on camera. It's actually 6 feet by 4 feet. It's half a table. My table is pretty hard surface, right? And I noticed that the harder or lighter that I throw on that table, I can influence things. But before, when I had the old surface, the neoprene, if you saw my old videos, the green tabletop that I had was neoprene, like wetsuit or mouse pad material, and couldn't do a thing on that stuff, man. The dice skidded all over the place. There's no way to stop them. And then I switched out to this harder surface to see if there was a difference, and there is a difference. And in fact, on the harder surface table, what I found is, I mean, you'll see when I film my videos, I have to throw it pretty hard to get results that are random, because on the harder surface tables, if I throw them too light, I get the same number 6 times in a row, because the dice literally will hit wall and come back and die if I don't shake them and wing them. Again, shows me that there's something to it on the physics level, on the physical level, on the human level, that you can do to affect the outcome. And I think, Greg, by saying that you wing them hard to get random, that's kind of what I'm saying here too. There is truth to the fact that you can affect the outcome based on how you throw it. Now, to go to the mental side, we can switch the table actually if you guys want to. I'll go over there and I'll throw some dice with you. Switching to the table view here, you can influence them by how hard you throw. And I will say this in every future video, because I think this is the most important point that I can make on this topic. And we'll get into this in the big series here coming up. But the number one thing dice controllers care about, and I think there's maybe a misinformation out there about kind of the reasons why we do things the way that we do. The number one thing that I think dice controllers are actually interested in is stopping the 7, right? I don't believe that people are trying to sharpshoot. As a matter of fact, there's one person, maybe the Dominator, Dominic Larigio, can sharpshoot, maybe, I don't know. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's out here saying, I'm going to throw a hard. If you could, they wouldn't have hot bets. Like the casinos exist. Why? Right? They exist to make money. Period. That's their whole modus operandi. If people could sharpshoot, they wouldn't allow hot bets. Okay, think about that. They're there. They're another one of the sucker bets on the table. But if somebody could actually say, I'm throwing a hard 6 right now, and they threw a hard 6 every time they said, they wouldn't let you hot bet. And nobody can do that. I don't believe that for a second, that you can actually target a number. But I do believe, and I said this the other day, that through the creative manipulation of energy, you can reduce the opportunity for a 7 to show, or increase the opportunity for the 7 to show. I think that's the thing that I want to always hone in on, which is this. And again, I'll repeat it. The dice, when they land, every die, when one stops, the other one has the match. No matter what number that thing lands on, the other die has the one that makes a 7. And so I don't really care what happens to the first die. What I care about is that the second die, when it comes off that back wall, that the one, in this case, that matches to the 6 doesn't show up. What I'm hoping is that it comes off the wall and it rolls over once and we don't see it. Or if it was there, it goes away. But it doesn't roll, you'll watch my fingers, it doesn't roll 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. The more this thing rolls, the more opportunity it has to stop on the one that's going to make the 7. That's why I throw them so soft. Now, I will sometimes throw them so soft that they land and they just land straight flat and you're stuck with the 7. It happens. When you throw them extra hard, you're trying to get one of those die to fly all over the place and show the match 15, 16, whatever times, and that's more chances for it to land. I said this in my 7s video. To me, it's like you're giving the casino a piñata, right? If you give a kid a piñata and say you can swing at it one time, you get one shot at it, it's hard to get the candy. I might call my friend MLB here to swing the piñata for me, right? To swing the bat. He's probably going to bust the thing open, but a 5-year-old's not. 5-year-old wants 50 swings at the piñata. The casino wants 50 swings at the dice matching up. They want to see that match showing up 50 times on the overspin. I like to think you can control that. And that's why I say when I see Greg throwing as hard as he can, I look at that as an opportunity for the casino to see more 7s. I look at that as a negative opportunity for the rest of you that are up in here on the box numbers. To me, that feels like a recipe for getting my butt kicked up here. When I see the the overspin that worries me. That's where I say I bet the shooters a little bit differently when I notice that kind of stuff. When I see somebody who shows care with the dice and throws them relatively softly, I think I got a chance at possibly seeing a couple of more rolls than normal. You're still going to be random. And I will be the first one to tell you, and so will, by the way, dice controllers themselves will tell you. The Dominator will tell you this, and guys that I've talked to that I know practice this constantly will tell you the same thing. Every throw is random. I probably should have started the show by saying that. Hey, Greg, every throw is random. 100% believe that. 100% know that every throw is random. What we're saying, or what I'm suggesting, is that through different manipulation of the way you throw and the amount of energy that you impart, you can control the amount of randomness by maybe hiding a few faces from the landing zone. So that's the idea. Anyway, it's mental. To go back to my earlier point, 100% mental game. Golf, if you've ever played golf, and I said I was a 2 handicap in high school. Golf is a mental game. You've got to be plugged in, focused. You got to put in the hours of work. Baseball, insanely mental game. Baseball is. This is as well. And the mental side of the game here for me is this. And I want to get this one point made. I'll throw a couple of examples out here for you, just so you can see. When I say I bet differently on the shooter type, there's a nuance to that. Okay, and the nuance is this. I will usually employ something such as the Headless Horseman, which again, I'm biased towards the Horseman. But let's look at how we can use a strategy like that with your belief system in what you're seeing at the table, right? If you see people that are shooting ways that give you an indication of where they might go, here's how you might do it. Let's take the random shooter, the person that I'm sure is going to roll more 7s than not. When I do the Horseman on that guy, I am 100% on the don't, right? We're setting 3 combats for sure. What I'm likelier to do with that shooter than another shooter is this. That's it. I'm not going heavy in any one direction. I'm still playing the Horseman, 3 combats and a don't pass. When I see the overtly randomness of the way that somebody's throwing the dice, like Greg says, I want more random. To me, that's opportunity to match the 3 over here with the 4. I'll get into being an odds better. I'll lay odds on my don't. Greg will lay odds almost every single time on the don't, which is where we differ, right? I will selectively do this bet based on if I'm seeing more 7s from a shooter. And we talked a while back about, trend setting. How do you spot a trend on a table? Sometimes the trend is the person. And if a person throws the dice in such a way that results in a bunch of 7s because they're throwing so hard, here's where you want to be, right? That bet and that first combat, very likely to pay off. And that's why the Horseman was kind of invented, because you do see a lot more short rolls with highly random throws, I believe. At least in my experience, that's what I've seen. So that's the way that I would, quote unquote, attack a random roller, in air quotes, right? That's the way I would do it. I'm not going all in on the negative. I'm not going all in on the positive. I'm going to lightly go with some odds. It might be a case if I see somebody like, and Greg, God is my witness here. If you and I ever play craps, and you all know what's coming here, right? My first move, if I'm playing with Greg, is this. I am so going to lay the back wall when Greg shoots on the come out rolls, right? I am here all day long. I'm going to make a house payment by laying the back wall when Greg has the dice, because that dude throws some 7s. And I think there's a reason for that. Anyway, if I sense that the shooter is in the controlled shooter camp, okay, and that was where I put myself, or if they're in the camp that's more of a rhythm roller, where they are lightly hitting the back wall, right, and getting, I think, less opportunity for a 7 to appear, I'll bet a different way. That might be the person that I do, and I'll give you 2 examples. If it's a rhythm roller where they're throwing in knuckleballs, or they're not really putting any kind of physics behind these dice, but they are throwing them soft, that's an indication where I might go still in the don't pass, Still 3 come bets, but I might do a little bit of this. I might throw a $12.06 and $12.08 out here to start it. That's a possibility for me. I may do that. Okay. If the person is doing better on their second throw, what I might do is this. Go 44 inside ahead of the come bets. And I might turn this into a Butterberg where I am going to let every come bet come up here and take these bets down and take the hit and come back. I might even Butterberg it without the come bets. I've done that before too on people that I think are actually throwing pretty well. I may not go with the come bets at all and just give this person 4 rolls and 4 rolls and down. And what I mean by that is 4 rolls to either take these bets, bring them down as winnings, or take them down. So I'll give a rhythm roller. We'll just do it here. I'll do a rhythm quick little soft roll. There's a 6. So we'll take our 14 and pull it down. That's the Butterberg. Take your hit and run. Get the hell out of here. That's 1 hit. We're just going to count the number of shots here. There's a 2. Perfect. Pay there, lose here, so you're down like $6, right? Or $7. That's the way that I might go with a rhythm type roller, because again, they may reduce the chance for this. I might take 3 or 4 rolls and pull down and never go come bet with them. I may just do that. I might actually try that again just because I think it's interesting. Let's do it again. Let's pull this money back. And again, rhythm roller here. I'm just going to throw it super light and let's just see what happens. We're on the don't. Those bets are off. Point is 6. And again, let's just, rhythm roll. I'm going to try and get these 3 bets to pay and pull. So I might give this person 4 rolls to get that done. And again, we'll throw them super soft so we don't match up. Oh, of course, we match up right away. I love it when I make a point and then I completely F up my rolls. That's great. Let's do it one more time, just so you can see the theory here. Again, we'll come out with a point. That's going to be a yo. You'd lose that and come back. Good point. It's a 10. So again, rhythm roller, maybe go into this type of system. Short field here. So counting the rolls, that's 1. And again, use your rack to give you the information. There's another, wow. So I'm making Greg's point for him, which is awesome. All right, let's pull that down. I'm going to show you the third option that I'll explore here with you. If there's a more controlled type of shooter, and again, this is where I put myself in this camp, where I'm throwing a throw that's actually got some energy behind it, that's designed to stop, something like that. What I might do in that case is more of the 44 inside, like this. I may go here. And what I may do in that case is take, of course, the don't pass. I still, on myself, I do the don't pass and do 3 come bets. And this is more of the version of the horseman that was given to us by Dylan at Skill and Luck. I may do this with the intention of having the come bets come up here and still get set, still get my 7 protection, set the come bets, take these bets and their winnings down as initial break even / profit and let the roll go, right? When I'm looking at that, my thought process is, if we're going to get past 5 or 6 rolls, I'd like to have steady action up here in the box. And that's where the come bets, to me, get up here and they work a little bit for me. I'm not using the come bets on the rhythm type roller or the control type shooter as protection against the 7. I'm using them as potential targets for later as subsequent hits. So there's the other thing. And again, I'm still in the horseman, right? My lay here is, my output is still the same 4 units that it was before. I just put the money in a different spot than I would if I was playing with a random shooter. I think that's the thing that I think Greg said in his video, John will bet heavy when he senses a different shooter type. And that's not really the case. I, generally speaking, will use the same $100 I might go with 160 per shooter in this case here. And as you know, I think I mentioned before, I've switched all my stuff here pretty much to $25 minimums. But I may go to 160, and I may go to 160 for the purposes of doing a $30 6 and 8 ahead of the come bets, getting a higher spread out there like that. I may use the 160 because when I get my initial don't pass set, I might want to lay 60 of it against the 10 or the 4 based on the points. So I may have extra money sort of set up in my rack as kind of feeder money for other bets, okay? Anyway, if it's what I consider to be a shooter that's likely to roll less sevens because of how they shoot, I will probably go with an inside series along with the come bets, and I'll replace them. So in other words, let's just take one as the example. Let's just use the 6. Let's take the 6 as an example. So if I happen to have a come bet that takes the 6 down, that's going to pay 14 and come down. What I'll usually do is take this 14, drop a buck, and go with odds on it. Give us back to the house, right? That's a way to use your initial bet as the feeder for the odds. The odds in this case are double free. They're free because they pay them correctly, and they're free because my initial bet put them up there. So again, on a quote-unquote controller or controlled shooter, or somebody that I trust to not throw sevens, that's probably what I'm going to do is start out with a series of place bets. And again, I just did the 6 here as an example. We hit the 6, that's perfect. A series of place bets for the purpose of getting them up as odds. And there's going to be your 30, right? Pretty good win right there. That's the point of that, is to say, well, this person's going to hit repeaters. I'm going to put more money in action on them. And again, I'm not going outside of my initial lay, right? My initial spread here was 150. That's 150. How do I use it? I use it differently on the shooters, right? If it's a random shooter, Greg style random, on the don't with extra odds, I'll use my come bets to get set. If that person does get hot and go on a roll, fantastic. I've got 3 come bets up here that are going to pay off on those repeaters. I probably won't put them back. I'll probably take them and bring them back to the house. If it's a controlled shooter and or a rhythm roller, I may come out here with a smaller bit of inside play and Butterberg it. I may just let those bets hit, bring it back to my rack, and be done with it. If it's somebody that I think is going to hit some numbers, again, we're going to go with the inside bets and use the inside bets payments as odds on the subsequent come bet. So again, I'm getting more action. Instead of pulling and keeping the profit, I might put that profit back into play as an odds bet. So again, I'm not going in quote unquote heavy on different shooter types. It's the same initial per shooter money that I allotted for. I'm just going to spread that money around a little bit differently based on what I'm seeing from the shooters. Okay, hey, I see Jeff, you got here, and Dan, hey man. So yeah, that's my theory on it, right? To me, it's a mental game. And again, I'm not going in with a grand on the pass line. When I see a hot shooter, that's not the way I do this. I sure as hell hope y'all didn't hear that from me the other day, and that's not what I'm saying today. If I'm coming in here with the horseman as my ride, I'm riding that horseman differently, chameleon-like, as I said the other day, based on what I see. Right? Based on A, the trend of the table, but B, I think what the person who's shooting the dice is giving me that information of how they're shooting and what they're looking for. So there's no guarantees, obviously. They may be looking for holding off the 7 and not be very good at it. They may be looking for, like today, I'm doing earlier, I did the random or the rhythm shooter thing, just kind of lightly tossing them, and I throw like 4 sevens in a row. It happens, right? Because, and again, I said this earlier, and I couldn't be any more truthful with you. Every throw is random. That's actually a no throw, but every throw is random once they hit that back wall. The back wall randomizes the dice. It's a matter of, can you control opportunity for that 7 to come based on being light with it? And again, the 7s that I rolled are going to happen, but you'll notice that off the wall, that die rolled 4 times. If you probably can't see it on camera, but the 6th die hit the wall, and it rolled over 4 times and landed on a 6. Right? That was a bad throw by me. Those dice skittered all over the place. I'm trying again to control that to some degree and hope we don't get a match on the overspin. That's my speech. So to come back full circle here, I'm going to go back to the picture of me sitting in the chair here. My thoughts are this. It's a skill. Dice control I see it as a skill, not as a belief system. And if it's a skill, you can get better at it. If I can get better at something, I'm going to spend hours getting better at it. That's just the way that I'm wired. Every throw is random. I'll repeat that. I'm not going to dispute that. I never will dispute that because it 100% is random. Every throw is random. The back wall ensures randomness. What controlled shooting does, in my opinion, is control the amount of spins so we don't get the match. That's why Greg throws hard and I throw soft. I'm trying to stop the overspin. He's trying to create overspin. That's the entirety of that discussion between him and I. We're both right. We're both right. He's trying to, I want more random results is what he said, right? 100%. When you throw the dice hard, you're going to get more random results. When you hit chips, you're going to get more, you're making them fly even more. I'm trying to throw them light so I don't get as random of results. I want the dice to roll only one direction so the two sides don't have a chance to maybe have the match. That'd be ideal. I can't control what's on the side. I'm hoping that they just don't come. I'm hoping to kind of reduce from a 1 in 6 chance of getting the match to show up to like a 1 in 4 chance. I'm trying to reduce that down. Anyway, the Dice Control series is coming. I'm starting that probably, I don't know. I'm filming now. It's hard to get the filming right. It's really hard because I want to do it justice. This is a topic that not so much that I'm passionate about, right? I have my way of shooting. It's, to use the golf analogy, it's the simple golf way of throwing dice. Like I literally don't, there's no rotation, there's no torque. I'm just doing very light action here. But I want to do it justice. I want to make sure that we're having all the information that people on both sides of this dice control discussion can have an honest set of facts, right? I can't build a robot to throw the dice. I have found a bunch of videos with robots that throw dice. I can't do all the science because I'm not a scientist. I cannot do the physics because I'm not a I never took physics, believe it or not. I haven't had a math class since 1986 because I'm so effing old, right? So I don't have that level of game to bring to this discussion. What I do have is I'm a great person. Y'all love me. And I think I can get folks to kind of come together and think through a complicated topic by giving it what I think are some common sense and some basic sort of guidelines. So that series is coming. And again, because I'm doing some slow motion video, because I'm trying to like incorporate the survey that you all took. And I'll put a link to the survey in the comments here. The survey results are back. They're very interesting, of course. And I want to share the feedback with you on the survey. So getting that to show right in the video just takes time. There's editing and things that go on with that. So it's hard. It's coming. I'm hoping to have the first video of that released over the weekend. That's my goal here by about Sunday or so. I'd like to have the first in that series out. And I'm going to take you on a ride, man. That series is going to be tough. We're going to literally look at dice control from every aspect of it. I'm going to tell you, like I did today, what are the goals of a dice controller? And then I'm going to show you all the things that make it impossible. And there are lots of things on that table that make it impossible to do, and which is why most people say, screw this. It ain't real because I can't do it. Or it ain't real, or I can't do it. I don't want to put the time in. There's lots of reasons for that. And the casino, trust me on this, folks, does not put the alligator wall in the back of that thing. They don't make bouncier tables if people couldn't do it. Simple as that. They put countermeasures in place because people can do it. People, and I'm looking at you, MLB, again, you're the example of what people can do given time, energy, and practice and focus. The hardest thing, you said it, the hardest thing in the world to do is hit a baseball. It's hard to hit a baseball, especially off of a professional pitcher. It's really hard to get everything. On base, everything has to go right, yet you can do it. right? There are a small percentage of people that have mastered the skill. My son mastered the skill. He was a great, great hitter. It can be done given the right focus. And I believe that this is the same way. That said, there are impediments to it. There's reasons why it's really hard. The casino put in, like I said, countermeasures. They want the alligators. They put bouncy tables in. They have done, they encourage the chips all over the place. Some casinos don't even allow dice setting, right? They wouldn't put those things in place if people couldn't do it, right? Now what the things they put in make it essentially impossible to do. We're going to explore that. My series will explore all of it. I'm going to break this thing down. Like, I'm going to show you all the reasons why you shouldn't even try dice control. Honestly, I don't think it's for everybody, and I think I'm going to show you all of it. I'm going to expose the people that are charging for it. Okay, there's one person, maybe two, that I think have the standing to charge for it. The people that are out there hawking videos and books and a bunch of random, I'll come to your house and give you, that's, you know, a lot of the comments that I got on my survey were exactly that. It was like, let's not, everything that people see about dice control is somebody trying to sell them something. I'm exposing all that too. So this is going to be a 2020 of the 80s style investigation. I'll let that sit with you for a minute, but it's going to be an old school 2020 investigation of this topic. I want to get deep into it. I'm running through the chat over here now. I just want to see if I can respond to some of the things that are being said out here. I can see Dan. Yeah, Dan, thank you, man. Dan says, consistency if you practice enough, albeit you need to find how to throw on each table because every table is different. That's a countermeasure. Okay, that countermeasure is in place. And it's in place for a number of reasons. Because A, money. There's no one supplier of craps tables. So what they do is they will resurface a table. They'll take their table when the felt gets jacked up, they peel it back, or they leave it on and put a new piece of felt on top of it because it's cheap and easy to do. The more of those layers you get, the bouncier it gets. Sometimes tables get bouncy because of the way that they get built. Some of them are purposefully bouncy. I've seen a couple tables in Vegas that are like trampolines. Those are done on purpose. That's bouncy for the reason of forcing the dice to be more random than they would normally be. So that's a tough hill to climb. We'll talk about that for sure. Yeah, Robert says the roulette guys used to be hired on if they could land the ball in the right number, and that's true. I've talked to dealers, and I think Alex from CEG has talked about this, where on a roulette game, they have to roll the dice at different rates. There's actually a phone app that you can now point the phone app at the roulette table, and it will predict where the ball is going to land before they call the bets off, which is insane. I see just now in chat, El Toro is here. Dude, we have to talk at some point. I love your channel. What happened, man? When I first started, I called you out, by the way, a while back. When I first started this channel of mine, you were one of the 5 channels that I'd found early, and I watched I love your style. Love it. Get back on filming, man. Love it. Totally. And I see some people saying you bet differently on my friends that I know can shoot. However, I don't change my bets based on random people that I don't know. That's Dan. Dan, that's a great point. And again, I don't necessarily change my bets on people I don't know. Let me recharacterize how I said that earlier. If I see a person at the table and they throw the dice one way, I'm betting like they're random. I'm doing either the come ladder or I'm doing the headless horseman on that person, and I watch how they threw. I watch their dice flight. I see where they land. If they're landing in the same spot, if I'm seeing good rotate, if I see what I want to see, the next time they get the dice, I still may bet light, but trending in a direction. The third time, I may actually do what I just said here. You don't just get my money. I don't just trust you out of the gate. I have to watch you do it and get a sense of where you are and what I'm seeing. I'm a student. You know, I'm a teacher. I'm a student of this game. I study everything. So nobody just gets my money for free because that's what it's all about. I definitely feel like I need to see you prove it a few times before I change my betting style. And I'm in it for the long haul, right? You know, I bring enough money to play for 10 or more shooters because I want that chance. You know it's coming. You know the monster roll, 20 plus 25 plus roll is coming. You just got to make sure you're there long enough to get it. That's why I adjust my bets accordingly. So anyway, that is it. The dice. Oh, Eric, that's a really interesting quote. I wish that I knew how to do this. There's a way I think that I can make your comments appear. Let me try this. Add to broadcast. I'm not sure you guys can see that or not. Maybe not. Oh, I can see it. It's behind my. If I do this, you can see it. Yeah, it's behind the video. Sorry, and I can't move it enough. Anyway, Eric, made of tin, has made such a great point. The Dominator movie has cost more wannabe dice setters money than sending a check to a Nigerian king. Dude, that is a great comment. I love it. And Greg said this the other day, and I want to reiterate what Greg said because I couldn't agree with him anymore on anything. Dice setters who are not good, right? You watch the movie, you watch the History Channel thing, you bought the book, you practiced on your own, and you kind of know what you're doing. You go out there and you bet like a damn maniac. Cost yourself so much money. The casinos just, and I'll share this quote with you in the first series of Dice Control. One of the people in Reddit wrote back and said, if I was building a casino, the first thing I would do is put up a neon sign that says Dice Controllers Welcome. Right? And I love that. I think it's one of these things. The guy was trying to be snarky to me, but he made a great point, which is the point that Greg and I both make. If you're a dice controller and you practice the art, and you think so highly of yourself that you're going to go with the big 640 across, and you're just going to go all in, casinos love that. They love it, right? That's the lore of it. And Eric, you made that great point. That's so true. Also, the dice setters make more money because of that show. And I don't mean they make more money at the tables. I mean, you're seeing, again, people, and I'm not going to name names, but there are people who now charge for their content. Purely charge for their content because they're dice control experts. There are people who run seminars out of their garage because they're experts. There are people who open storefronts because they're experts, and they want you to pay them to have them teach you the thing. Now, my friend MLB here, you know this to be true. I know this to be true. My son, again, you don't go to play college or professional baseball because you feel like it. Right, we spent, and you can tell me how much money you spent. I spent half a year's salary probably over the course of Zach's life on catching lessons and hitting lessons and select baseball and all the different things that you have to do to become great at that sport. It costs money. It cost him time. That is just the way that it is. The dice control sort of whatever you want to call it ecosystem has evolved into a ton of people who don't have license to do so, charging for something that they think they're good at. And I think that's dangerous. I think it's dangerous. I think that's the most negativity I see on dice control is that. They call it snake oil salesman, and I believe it. I think it's not a great thing. So anyway, that's going to be exposed as well. Like I said, my 60-minute style video is going to expose that completely. We're going to talk about it. All aspects. I think this is a great topic. And I love the topic because it gets people fired up. Like, here in my chat, we're not fired up. You guys are all like, yeah, it makes sense what you're saying. I love what you're saying. If I did this post live streamed at Reddit, this chat will be full of F-bombs because there is such passion on both sides. Again, I'll close with this. It's not a belief system, dice control. It is a skill. There's physics behind it. It's whether or not you are able to achieve it. That's the thing, and it takes a lot to achieve it. So I know, like I said, to me, I know that it's a possibility, and that's why I chase it. That's why I do it, because I think that there's physics and physical things you can do to attain the goal, and that's the thing. But that's my personal opinion on it. Welcome your comments, of course. Jeff Mid-Atlantic asking about the podcast start date. Probably I'm gonna focus the weekend. Again, we are at September 9th of 2021. I'm going to focus the weekend here on getting my setup right. I've got 2 videos that I have to edit out for the Dice Control series. Here's the mic that I bought. I promised you this. The mic that I bought with my trip to Reno. Here it is. I bought it. The tripod, or not tripod, the, what do you call it? The gooseneck came for it and doesn't fit. I had to send it back. It doesn't fit my desk right. I had to send the thing back. So I can't actually mount the mic to talk. So that's coming tomorrow, and I should be able to go. I should be able to go and do the podcast coming up soon. This mic, by the way, sounds infinitely better than what I'm talking on right now. This thing is awesome. But yeah, it's coming soon. And I really believe, hey, Jerry, good morning. I believe that the podcast is going to be like today was. I don't know what I have a rough idea of how I'm going to do it, but I honestly believe that my plan for the podcast will be like today, where it's me just talking, right? I didn't have to be at the table at all today. We could have just talked the whole hour. And that's, I think the podcast will be that. Hey, Ed, good morning. That'll be what I focus it on, is just either storytelling or just talking theory, that kind of thing. That's what I want the podcast to be. And that will probably start recording over the weekend or early next week. I'm just that close to it. But the microphone, Jeff, I know you know how cool this is. This is a Shure MV7. This thing is fantastic. It sounds amazing. It actually makes me sound like a grown man. It's awesome. One of the things I do is I hate my voice like everybody else does. And this microphone makes me sound like I'm like I'm my dad. I just love it. So anyway, I think that is what I've got to say on this. Again, not meant to go back at Greg or back at Ken or anything. Just want to clarify my thoughts on it and sort of highlight the fact that I don't go big or small based on shooter type. I just adjust where the bets go based on what I think the opportunity for 7 is. And that's the thing to take away from this. And again, more to come. I've got 9 videos coming on dice control specifically. I've got another 8 videos coming on how to throw controlled. And again, I throw the chopper, the helicopter flick toss. I've got a whole series of videos on how to do that throw, because I think it's an achievable throw. I think that's the kind of thing where you don't need to be 10,000 throws to get it right. You can actually get it right. So yeah, it's going to be pretty fun. So I've got lots of things in the way. So thanks all for joining. I appreciate, as always, I appreciate your time. Hey, good morning, Brian. Hey, good luck in Vegas. I know you just got down there. Good luck down there. I wish I can come see you, but I'm not made of money and I can't keep flying all over the place. But you guys, hope you have a great run. Anyway, that's it, everybody. It was a full hour today almost. So yeah, get to the chopper. I'm totally going to teach you that throw, man. Actually, I learned a new throw. I'm going to show you this real quick. So if you stick around, you get bonus time. I was working the chopper from the other side of the table, from the right side of the table, which is hard. It's hard. I can throw it all day long this way. I cannot throw it that way. It's really hard. So I saw a video, I think it was G-Dub, was throwing a way where he kind of had the dice and he sort of went this way and over, like forced him to tumble forward into the back wall, which is weird. It seems opposite, but actually kind of, it feels good on my elbow. Like more than anything else, that felt comfortable to throw that way. So I may work on some of that. All right, that's it. It's been almost an hour. I meant to go 15 minutes. I only had one thing to say. I want to talk to Greg one-on-one here, and I went an hour. So I appreciate y'all staying around. That's fantastic. And for the latecomers, thanks for coming in. You can watch the whole thing later. More on this to come. I think I'm going to be talking more about the 7 appearance, more about my style as we go with these live streams, to kind of back up some of the things we're saying in the bigger series. But the bigger series, like I said, it's going to be an exposure of dice control. It's not going to be a lesson on how to do it. Make sure that you tell your friends to come watch that, and make sure you come into it with that mindset. We're going to learn how it works, why it's impossible, and what we can do about it. That's the purpose of that thing. So with that said, I'm out. Thanks for watching. Again, tell your friends, like, subscribe. Thanks for all your support. We're at almost 700 subscribers as of today. That's fan-freaking-tastic. I can't believe that we're growing this fast. But I think people just, whatever, I think you like hearing me just kind of tell it like it is, and I'll never change. And that's why I gravitate towards Greg and Ken and the Square Pair and Jacob. These guys that just tell it like it is. I think that's fantastic. El Toro, get yourself back on YouTube, man. You told it like it was too. I loved how you did that. So I'm so glad you're here. Jeff, you know what, Jeff? We'll do it. We're actually going to do, I've been talking to some people, Greg included. We should probably talk about this, about doing some simulcasting and doing some cross what do you call it? Cross channel streaming. I think that's pretty cool to do that. The technology out there is fantastic. Anyway, that's it. I will see you all on the next one, probably early next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. Be safe, be happy, and good luck at the tables.